the person who's interacting, that entity that's interacting with the user, that's where the relationship is being built. Now, if you do not have an AI with your name, with your label on it, what is that relationship with? That relationship is not with you. That relationship is with whatever name is on that AI. Right. Whatever name you call it AI, that's the relationship.
Hello and welcome to Exploring AI with Argon. I'm Lauren Brown, Argon's Chief Creative Officer, here today with Collie Brown, Argon's CEO and founder, and we're going to get into some questions about exploring what it is that AI will do for the retail industry. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Alrighty, thank you for joining us, Collie.
My pleasure.
All right, so we're going to go right into some questions and hear what your thoughts are on them, and enlighten the audience.
No problem.
Okay, cool. All right, so the first one, what makes Argon different from its AI competitors, and why should businesses choose Argon over the competition?
So when we designed Argon, we designed it with a couple of specific missions in mind. One is personal AI. So if you're a business, you have customers. Your customers are primarily consumers, users, and the features that we build into Argon is going to be really the kind of things that you want your AI to have when you're dealing with customers. Second part of that is we've built into Argon a whole bunch of capabilities to deal with providing services, like the companies that your company and other companies will provide to our users and to your users and to your existing customers. So those capabilities that we put in there were built specifically for you to be able to take advantage of that. So, and in addition to that, we have a lot of proprietary technology that, once you engage us, you'll see that that's really proprietary and that they're much more advanced than the typical marketing that they would technology that they'd come across. So for those reasons, Argon is differentiated from any other AI that's out there.
Okay, so if I understand you correctly, you're saying that you're offering a series of services, so you're connecting the people who would be using Argon and the businesses that would be on Argon, and you're providing it in a way that means there's easier access. There's just what you could call a services platform or an ecosystem that you're providing that's gives it a step above the competition.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay. How would you say specifically, though, that Argon helps users connect with people and businesses in a new way?
So if you think of the traditional way you would purchase something from a company, for example, you would probably go into a search engine, type something in, look through a series of pages, and then click on the link. That's a very rudimentary way, but that's what mostly happens.
What we know, yeah.
Yes, and of course companies make a fortune doing something like that, providing that service. What we're talking about here is the ability to interact with the customer from the time they're thinking about a particular service or product that they're looking to get, and to go that back and forth, and then ultimately delivering the product or service to that user or that customer. And for you, all that metrics that's taking place, all that interaction, that's valuable stuff. And to just to be able to be part of that initial, the decision-making process, that is going to revolutionize the way.
Well, that's new ground for most businesses, right? 'Cause
absolutely.
They're only there once the person's already made the decision. They might know a little bit of the analytics,
but they also know that they are behind the curve with that. So what they do to try to augment that is they go out and buy historical data. What have you done? What have how much money have you spent and where you spent your money?
Yeah.
But that's all historical data. They know they need more, but they don't have the capability. Argon gives them that.
Okay. So essentially, businesses are finding themselves with a richer perspective about their user because they're going right into that process, right at the heart of it.
That's correct.
How does Argon fit into different industries, like the retail industry or the entertainment industry?
So when you think about it, the one commonality here is the user, the consumer. Consumer, it doesn't matter what your business model is. The consumer have their own consumer model. They want services. They want a number of different things. So we approach it from the consumer perspective because the consumer is what is who's generating the actual
the
lead, exactly.
The need.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because we're at the decision point, we're, before or the initiation point and then the decision point, there is a lot that we can do, and
So you say something there that I don't think you've expanded on before, so I'm going to ask you a little bit about it. Argon is there when the user is, pre-decision making. Why?
Well, the user uses Argon on a daily basis. The user interacts with Argon just the same way they would an assistant. So if you think about it, your assistant, let's say you have an assistant, and the assistant, you're going to travel to, let's say, Los Angeles.
Yeah.
The assistant is going to set up your flights and all that stuff. So that conversation that's taking place before the flight is booked, that's the initial or the initiation process.
Yeah.
The decision-making process.
But one of the things that I'm gonna interject, because I feel like it's something that you've said to me before, that I think is great for users to hear about, and I think specifically as well businesses. It's something that might even go into the first question about what makes Argon so special. Relationship.
Right.
The fact that Argon has a relationship to the user.
Right. I didn't define it as such, but it is.
But that phrase, I feel like it's just such an important distinction, because it makes how often do businesses get that, right?
Right. So because Argon's a personal AI, the same way you have a relationship with your assistant, and you can have a really good, strong relationship over the years if you've had an assistant that long. Same way you have that relationship with Argon, it just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. That relationship affords Argon the ability to know a lot more about you.
Yeah.
So when you say you're going to San Francisco, you can almost bet that
it
Argon
means so
knows
much more.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, Argon probably knows exactly why you're going to San Francisco, because it's probably on your schedule anyway.
Yeah.
So it would know that. It would know that you're going to need a car when you get there. It's going to know, just like an assistant, just like an executive assistant. Argon is going to know that. So if you're a retailer or you are a business on the outside that wants in on that whole process, Argon gives you that ability. It gives you that ability when the user reaches out to you, that whole initiation back and forth process, we can bring you in at a very early stage. And
bring you as in the business.
You, the business, in, exactly. And so, what could have started out as a simple trip to San Francisco turns out to be like 3 or 4 different services that your company can provide. So it's a much richer, much more tighter relationship.
Yeah.
And again, the word relationship there. So that's a significant differentiation between what exists now, and where things are going.
So if we're going to tie that into industries like retail or entertainment, that's, you would say what? That's like what? So
for me, that would be the ultimate. If I'm a retailer, or I'm one of those external businesses.
But it's fitting into your industry how? How's Argon fitting into that?
Well, because you're part of that relationship now.
Yeah.
You see, before you're an outsider. I can walk into a store, pick up a soda, and walk out.
Yeah.
There's no relationship there.
Yeah.
You want to be part of a relationship, and as AI has become more and more important and become more and more commonplace, that relationship is going to be stronger. And because the browser model the e-commerce browser model is an open model, you can anybody can just create a website
and
you just jump right in.
Yeah.
This relationship is a much more closed relationship, and so it is critical that you're on or have a relationship with an AI. It's a very different way of doing business.
So I think that connects to the next question here, which is how can applying artificial intelligence increase a business's revenue?
So we talked about that initial process where the initiation.
Decision making.
Yeah, exactly. That whole process. So a lot of times people, they are deciding, they're thinking about something, but they don't have enough information, and eventually it just dies because they just, they don't have the time, the energy to go hunt something down. Well, if you're part of that conversation up front, and your information is being provided to the user, it's a much greater chance of them completing the transaction.
Yeah.
But not only are they in a complete transaction, they can complete transaction with your company. So for that reason alone, you're gonna see more business. The second part of it though is, what is your competition doing? Because once the user is interacting with the AI, and of course you can private label Argon. Once
Private label meaning
that you can have your own, you can use Argon's brain behind the scenes.
so you can have your own brand.
Your own brand of AI. So you can call it Wal-Mart, or you can call it, hey Walmart, what is the temperature
Or like
today?
Target or Best Buy or
What do you have on sale? Yeah, exactly. Target, Best Buy. That's what we mean by private label. So that gives these companies that close knit relationship, and that's one, like I said, that's a big differentiator between the existing model, which is the e-commerce and brick and mortar commerce versus the AI commerce. It's a much more tighter, closer relationship that is stronger and will last longer. And if your company takes the lead on that and set up those relationships before other companies do, you have a significant advantage going forward over the competition.
Right.
And that's why you want to get the AI rolled out.
I mean, again, so you're answering the questions before I ask them. The next question I have here is, what are the marketing advantages for retailers who partner with AI companies? And you kind of touched on that a little bit, because if you're going to get that analytics right when they're making those decisions and you're a part of the relationship, then you know what the need is, you know exactly what the need is, and you can, deliver to that.
Yeah.
But what other marketing advantages do you see? Can you name the top three? Top three.
Yes, real-time analytics is critical. I mean, that companies, as I said, they purchase historical data. That's looking, that's, you're trying to close the gate while the horse is gone.
Okay, so number one is real-time analytics.
Real-time analytics.
Okay.
That is a huge. I don't want to underestimate
Undersell it
because
yeah.
because what happens is, if you have, let's say, 1,000 hard drives, and let's say you manufacture hard drives, and things aren't moving, and somebody walks into our store and wants to purchase a drive, you need that real-time analytics become critical, because you can say, you know what, the drive is normally $100. I'm going to drop it to $99 or $98 or whatever it is, and get the sale.
Okay, so then what's number two?
Number two is that relationship. Going forward, the loosely coupled, non-relationship that you have is going to slowly disappear, because you won't, when you go to a browser and you type something in, who knows what website's going to come up?
Yeah.
Exactly. When you're asking the AI is not going to the AI is not a search engine. I mean, it can search a lot of things, but it's not a search engine. It's going to go to its relationships. So that's critical that you set up that. You set up that relationship. So that's number two. And the third one is building that trust with the user.
Right.
That brand loyalty. That you want to be part of that.
Yeah.
So it's something that I think companies don't pay as much attention to, but it'll become
So
important.
that's actually building the brand loyalty. It goes right back to that first question about relationship, right? It's having that difference that makes their experience. Me as a buyer will go to you because I can interact with your AI in a way that I can't interact with the next person or the next businesses.
That's correct.
So let me ask you, talk as quickly as possible about what you see as being the biggest cost for companies. And I'm saying the biggest. I know there's a lot of costs, but what would you say is the major thing that most businesses can't afford when it comes to AI?
That's trying to, what they can't afford it. It's so much they can't afford.
Building
it.
Building it.
Yeah, because it is extremely complex. It's extremely hard. All the money in the world isn't going to help you, because you're still going to have to build it, and it takes time. And the time you're taking to do that, others are going to be licensed our technology and other AI.
And moving ahead.
Yes, and so you get there and you realize, all my customers already have AI relationships with somebody else. You don't want that to be the case.
So the solution is to license Argon.
and get started like ASAP.
Yeah. So you said the number one cost that people experience is, or that businesses would experience, is actually the time. I think that's such a interesting point. And why did you notice, or what makes you say time?
So over the years, I've built large systems, lots of systems, and so I know what it takes to build, a large system. And I've built very, very complex systems for Fortune 50 companies. That's
Huge,
tens of millions, tens of millions of dollars worth of stuff. The time frame to build an AI is just makes that look like a child's play.
Okay, so
The expertise, it's unlike most software that has specifications, because there's a specific need that drives the specification and therefore the energy and the effort and the direction. AI is a much wider subject, and where do you begin?
what does that mean when you say it's a wider subject?
Well, again, an AI has to. What are the things that the AI will have to deal with? There are potential billions of things, and so how do you nail down a subset of that and know the right ones to pick? You quickly realize that what looked, from the user's perspective, it's so simple. I ask it a question, I get an answer back. But you can ask it a billion questions. For the developer, in this case the company is, the skill set to do it is virtually not there. It's extremely hard to find the brains to put together.
The brains to build the brain.
The brains to build the brain. By the time you get the people together and you put a team together, remember, this is the first time they're going to be building something like this. This is not like some software where they've built something before, and so they have the track record. There's no track record here. Here it's all learning. So they're going to make mistakes. They're going to go down the wrong path and then find out later on that that's the wrong path.
So I have a feeling, though, that someone hearing you say all that is going, but why does he think that he, or why were we able to do it? Why was Argon able to?
14 years is the answer.
Okay.
14 years. We started building Argon, and absolutely we went down detours that, but we had the benefit of time.
Did the dead end go back?
Absolutely. And I can tell you, you're going to make very, very expensive dead ends. That's just the way. That happens in traditional software, by the way. So this is think of it on steroids. It's going to be much, much more likely and much deeper and bigger.
Because of the infinite possibilities
Absolutely.
of what a brain could do.
Exactly. But we had the benefit of time because we started 14 years ago. And so we knew we were going to make mistakes, and we did.
Right. So, so we've established that there's cost, and there's also the finding the expertise, there's the time, and most importantly, maybe, that there's the time. But if a company now is looking at this and saying, hey, okay, I see what you're saying, it's going to be, too much time for me to do this. How do I go about finding the right AI company? And more specifically, when looking to partner with AI companies, businesses tend to gauge their suitability using traditional metrics like membership base or revenue. Why do you think those metrics aren't relevant? And why, and when analyzing a potential AI partner, what's the priority and what isn't the priority?
Right. So here's why the traditional metrics isn't the best way to look at it. So if you think of it from a relationship perspective, the best relationships are cultivated over time. So you think of these companies. Let's say you're a giant company, like let's say Wal-Mart or a Target or whatever you are. Those are fairly large companies. Best Buy, whoever you are. You have some relationships now with consumers, but those are not tight coupled relationships for the most part. If you were to go and get an AI that is from a bigger company, let's say one of our competitors, that relationship is not with you. That relationship is with that big company.
What do you mean that relationship?
Meaning, you remember how a certain company started selling books and the bookstores gave over their front end essentially, and it almost killed them?
Yes.
Well, the same thing will happen. The exact same thing is going to happen if you walk in to one of those giant AI companies and say, you be our front end.
Right.
You are putting yourself
at giving away
absolutely.
Your connection.
You need to own the AI. In other words, when I say own the AI, you need to own the AI experience, and that's why we say private label our solution.
Can you say that part again? Because it just sounded really good. You need to own the what experience? Own the what?
The AI experience.
Okay. And so what does that mean for a retailer when you say something like?
So if you think about it, as I mentioned before, what happened to the booksellers? So the booksellers eventually, because the person who's interacting, that entity that's interacting with the user, that's where the relationship is being built. Now, if you do not have an AI with your name, with your label on it, what is that relationship with? That relationship is not with you. That relationship is with whatever name is on that AI. Right. Whatever name you call it AI, that's the relationship. So, by engaging these big companies, all you're doing is strengthening their relationship. You're not strengthening your relationship.
So by engaging a smaller company, or at least a company that's like Argon, where you
right.
have branding, where you
exactly where you can brand it.
How does that combat that?
Well, that is
actually
right. So let's say you are company A and you license the technology, and the little box that you're speaking through, or the console you're talking through, has your name on it and everything like that. That is communicating a lot of things. One is it's reminding the individual who's on the other side that the relationship is with your company, is with that thing, hence your company. And that cannot be understated. That's worth its weight in gold, because the relationship is whatever the person perceives the relationship with the entity, that's where the loyalty is, not with some, third party that's so far off.
Right. And what was the next thing you were going to say?
The next part of that is, so let's say you have this AI here on a daily basis. People don't always necessarily buy your product on a daily basis, but they use the AI on a daily basis. That's a further way for you to establish or to maintain that connection, and that's critical. All of that is lost when you go to one of these big name companies, in the space, and they've got good technology, but at your cost.
They're not selling your experience; they're selling their experience.
Absolutely, and you're promoting their experience. And like I said, we saw how it almost killed the whole industry.
Okay, so then to bring it back around to the question of why the metrics that people use to look at an AI company, what would you say are the things they should be looking at? So
one is, first of all, take a look at your customer base and ask yourself the question, what would happen?
And the you is the retailer.
The retailer. So you are the retailer, right? Retailer or any business for that matter.
Okay.
Take a look at your customers and ask yourself, do you want these people setting up a relationship with somebody else, one of your competitors? If the answer is absolutely not, then the question then is, what are you going to do about it? And the only way to stop them, because again, once AI starts to become commonplace, that relationship is going to be built. You need to be front and center of that relationship. You don't need to be a sidekick to some big entity. You need to own, quote unquote, that relationship.
So you're saying one of the things you're saying is look at your own needs.
Look at your own needs. That is the biggest driver, frankly. Now, once you provide the mechanism so that relationship can be there, the AI gives you so much more advantage, because what is going to happen is that whole interaction that's taking place that you're not privy to right now, right? You're going to have a much better sense of what's happening, and the chances of, let's say, for example, you go to one of these places and you buy one particular item. But you might buy 4 items, but you buy from 4 different places. But you would never know that if you are just the one at the store providing that one thing. You really want to know the full picture, or at least have a better sense of the big full picture.
Yeah.
And so that's what, and that's why I'm saying the traditional, metrics that you would use, where somebody says, well, how many users do you have, or how many this? That's kind of crazy, because it doesn't matter how much we have. What happened to your customers? Do you want somebody to come in? What if we have 1 billion customers? Does that stop one of the, stop?
If Argon had 1 billion users.
Yeah, 1 billion users. Yeah. Then what does that have to do with the fact that
your business still needs access?
Yeah, because remember,
to users.
Remember, you have a certain percentage of your business right now that you do online.
Yeah.
A lot of that is going to migrate to an AI.
Yeah.
So, just if nothing else, you got to maintain that. But you don't want to just maintain it. You want to be on the forefront and let others defend their turf. You want to go into their turf. So you provide them the cool technology. You provide them the technology that will make them want to do more business with you. And there's a side benefit too that you probably didn't think of. What's one of the biggest reasons why people return things? They return it not because it's bad. It's because they don't know how to use it.
Right.
And AI, in particular Argon, gives you that, the ability for the user
to have that enhanced customer service,
service,
post-purchase and pre.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you get fewer Christmas returns.
Right, and more profits in the bank.
Exactly. Okay, so then we kind of touched on this this next question, because we have here, how could a big retailer throw out a Wal-Mart or a Target or insert name here, but how could they benefit from Argon? So you said a few things like, there's the increased analytics and access to a relationship.
Right.
Is there anything that you haven't said already that you would think you should say about the benefits that they'd experience?
There's I've mentioned before some clear reasons to have an AI. So when this model changes, by the way, the commerce model is going to change from e-commerce to AI commerce over time.
Say that again, please.
E-commerce model is going to migrate over into what we call AI commerce.
Yeah.
And so by e-commerce, we all know what e-commerce is, right? You go online, you buy things. Well, a lot of that initiation, a lot of that purchase is going to go through an AI.
Yeah.
So that's the AI model.
Yeah.
And we talked earlier about how that relationship and that experience is a much richer one than the e-commerce model. The second part of that, though, is don't underestimate the cool factor. When you have an AI, the way your company is going to be perceived is going to be significantly different than before AI. So post AI, pre-AI.
Yeah.
Right, and it's significantly different because
BAI and
AI. Let me give you an example. There's a certain store that sells lots of appliances. They sell clothes as well. But the reality is most people wouldn't go there to buy clothes because it's not a cool place to buy clothes. But if they had some of the best designers and everything like that, then people would go there because there's a cachet for the whole thing.
That experience.
Exactly. And the same thing is true for AI. Once you have the AI relationship, you're going to be perceived as an innovator. You're going to be perceived as a cutting edge company, and people will perceive that whatever you provide them has better value, for them. So. Yeah. And they will be proud to say, I bought this through your AI.
Yeah, that becomes a bragging point.
It's a bragging point. And that's critical because a good chunk of purchasing decision is emotion.
Yeah. All right, so the next question. For retailers who are looking to partner with an AI like Argon, what is the onboarding process? And I know that's a much bigger conversation that people who reach out to this channel and to our organization can get a really great follow through on that. But on the highest level, what is it like? What is that onboarding process for those companies like? Right.
So the first part, it's fairly simple. And it's fairly straightforward. But let me say this: the first part is to make sure that there's a commonality. We understand what AI is going to give you. So that conversation, we're going to have the conversation because, from our experience, we have a lot of knowledge in terms of AI and how it's going to interact with people. And what we want to make sure...
14 years of knowledge.
Right. And what we want to do is make sure that our clients understand all the benefits that AI can bring. Because you don't just want to grab a technology and just implement it. You want to know, what are its capabilities? What are we going to get day 1, day 5, day 10, day 100, and in 5 and 10 years? What is it going to do to our business long term? That's critical. So that first part of the whole thing is just have conversations to make sure that
we
are on the same page. And
how would you describe the next parts though?
The next part of that is so once you understand what AI truly is going to offer you, then it's a matter of how are we going to roll it out from your perspective? Because initially it most likely will be a phased rollout. So you would pick certain
services or parts that you want to be
that you
highlighting and
you want to expose to it through the AI and start there. Also, what is your branding like with AI? Because it's a different branding. You can't just
you can't act like it's just a new website.
It's not a new website. It's believe me when I tell you it's not a new website. It's a much bigger thing. And that's why when I talked about the conversation, there's a whole lot that needs to go because you have to change your mindset, frankly, as a company and think about AI as almost like a new thing.
A new platform, it's
absolutely new platform.
New way of operating.
Exactly. And if you take the time to do that, you're going to be so far ahead of the competition. And then once we kind of nail down all of those things and we decide, okay, fine, we're going to roll out parts of it. The way the platform was designed is designed so that the vast majority of the work is going to be on the client side.
Yeah.
So that's why, we want to make sure that the clients get their data, get their mindset, get their everything
get
in
in
place.
the same alignment so that you can they
Right.
can understand what it is they're getting into and how they can make it work for
Right.
them.
What I'd suggest is that they have almost like a separate entity to work on that, because what happens is if you try to merge it day one,
Yeah, you get into complications.
remember, AI has a lot of new things, and you don't want to, they may look similar, but they behave very, very different.
Okay, so then, if I'm understanding you, for the onboarding is really about getting to understand what the technology is, understanding how it applies to your business, and then figuring out the most strategic way to apply it so that it enhances your brand, it brings you to the market faster, and it's also about making sure that you're not through the retailer, the business, is not making a choice that might accidentally harm the AI and then pull back, let's say, with what the benefits could be.
Right.
All right. So one of the things that is very cool that I've heard discussed before, and I'm sure for many people who are, watching us on this video and who will be seeing us in other venues, they want to say, okay, I hear what you're talking about, but AI is such a large topic, and maybe I'm a retailer. I don't sell AI or I don't create AI normally. I need to have a different kind of conversation. Or if they are already a tech company, but they work primarily in other electronics, how are they going to be able to get into the AI space? One of the cool things I think you offer that should be mentioned here is the consultation service. That's something that maybe you want to talk about that for a little moment, but how I see it is you're creating an avenue for the viewer to the whether they're a business owner or whomever to understand AI more seriously and be able to find a way in. How do you see that?
Well, so for a lot of companies, they're not, artificial intelligence is not their expertise. They really are retailers, manufacturers. They have their own set of skills.
Yeah.
But, AI is coming at them like a freight train, and they need to kind of get their bearings.
Yeah.
And we believe the best way is to have a consultation where we come in and we'll talk about how we see AI going, and we have a conversation with them in terms of how they see it, and then we do the next steps, which is to say, okay, if you're going to take advantage of AI, these are some ways you can take advantage.
Right. So you're kind of almost guiding them through the
right.
AI process, not just giving them the brand or the service, but you're actually saying, I'm going to help you gain that understanding.
Right.
That's a very different perspective to, I think, most tech companies that would be just purely about, again, the numbers, but you're going, we're going to make your business better.
We're going to make your business better. We also want you to understand implications. Yes.
That's awesome. Thank you, Collie, fist bump, for being here and being a part of this conversation. There are going to be so many more of these Exploring AI with Argon videos and experiences, so subscribe to this channel, follow us on social media, click the notifications icon so you know when new videos pop up, and to learn more about Argon and download Argon, go to www.arghon.com. Thank you, and see you in our next video.
Subscribe to this channel where weekly we'll explore what it means to connect to your world through artificial intelligence. And to be part of the Argon journey, follow us on social media.